Good morning, grade 5. This is Mr. B. I just was outside loading some shingles onto a truck, and I ran back inside because I got to rush to get to this video before I go to London. So, anyways, here we go. Here's a great new video for you. Today we're dealing with fractions of whole numbers. I'm not going to do an accent today because I'm out of breath. Already, the last one, the accent. I don't think I did a great job of the accent part. So, yeah, here we go. So, real life fractions. So, we already talked about how there's many fractions that we always deal with in real life, like cups or shingles or, yeah, who knows what, all sorts of things like that. Or height, even when we're talking in, well, sometimes I'm 2.5 feet or, 6.5 feet. Sometimes you'll use fractions as well. Lots of things use fractions in them. But yeah, there's just some that today we'll get into that a bit deeper. So first off, we're just going to look at a few things just to get us thinking, get our thinking caps on. My thinking cap's already on, but yours might not be. 3.5 people went skiing. So, does that seem plausible? That 3.5 people went skiing? Well, in most normal circumstances, and probably politically correct stances, and any other way we can look at this, I don't think 3.5 people are going to be going skiing, because you really can't have a half person. They're either a full person, with dignity no matter what, or they're not a person, right? So they're you either have a whole person or no person. There are some times where you'll say like on average 3.5 people, but that's for statistics. Most of the time, if I'm talking and I say that me and 3.5 other people went skiing, that's going to sound weird to you. So we just say, nah, this doesn't make sense. So you say, nope, Mr. Boolsen, that's not good. But what about if I said, I ate 3.5 pizzas? Because I've been eating a lot of pizza recently. Yeah, now this one makes a lot more sense, right? Because we know 3.5 pizzas, that makes sense because pizza, you could have 1 pizza, 2 pizzas, 3 pizzas, and then a half. Now, you might be getting a bit on the, might not be the healthiest diet to eat 3.5 pizzas on a regular basis, but it could be small pizzas, maybe. That's my excuse. Okay, and now one more. If I said I was half covered in paint, that would also make sense, right? I'm not going to write that, but yeah, if I was half covered in paint, that's also a fraction of me. Half of me is covered, so 1/2 of me is covered. There's another half of me that's not covered. But yeah, we get that. Anyways, that's just the warm up there. So, bam, 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 bam. Okay, so let's think about this. I have 6 hats, for example. These are hats. Terrible hats. Let's just, you know what? This is what it told me to do. I'm going to give them hats. These are mannequins. That guy's got that hat. This guy's got like a triangle hat, and that guy's got another hat. Okay, so I got 6 hats. Now, I'm going to give half of them, so 1/2 of my hats away, to a buddy. I'm going to give this half of hats, even though they look like the better hats. I got lazy at the end there. Right, and so there's 1/2 of my hats. I'm going to give 1, 2, 3. There's a total of 6. I'm going to give 1/2. Now, I'm left with another half. Now, what is different about this than normal? Well, normally we had we went from 0 to 1, right? Now I'm saying half of 6, right? 6 is our whole. But you see, there's still 2 equal groups that we've created, right? And there's still 2 equal groups, and the whole, in this case, the one whole is all of this. All of this is one whole, even though there are 6 objects inside of it. Anyways, we'll continue. Now, if I was, say I had 6 lovely apples, and half of them were red. What that would look like that, right? And again, we've got the same sort of thing where you've got 3, you got an equal group and an equal group, right? There's half of them. So this is again 1/2, right? And there's 2 halves, 2 equal halves. So really a half is half is anything that is one of 2 equal pieces, really. So that's 1/2. Now, if I draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What would be half of that? Well, let's think. How are you going to make 2 equal parts with half? Well, one way to quickly think about it, to quickly figure it out, would be 10 divided by 2, because we're breaking it into 2 parts, right? And that would give you 5, right? Equals 5. So we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we say that is a half, and then that is our other half there. So yeah, we see that, oh, there's a bit of light shining. I don't want that to get in the way. Oh, that's the lamp. That's weird. First time that's happened. But yeah, so this would be 1/2 over here. We just jip. That is 1/2 on that side there. Yeah, so that's the basics of that. Now, yeah, the idea is that even when you're dealing with whole numbers, we can still be dealing with fractions, right? Because this is 10 objects. We'll say they're 10 apples as well, and half of them. So it's whole numbers, right? These are not we're not dealing with one or something. This is a whole object or a whole bunch of objects, right? There's 10 individual objects, but we can still be dealing with a fraction. We're dealing with a fraction of that 10. So basically, what you're thinking of, in a sense, is that this 10 is becoming a whole, one whole. This is the whole thing that we're looking at. We're looking at this thing as a whole group. And half of that whole group happens to be 5, because the whole group's 10. And if we divide it in half, that would be 5. So yeah, you have to kind of think of that like that. So today we're dealing with fractions of whole numbers. So yeah, so if I, gave you 6 apples, let's say, now, and I said, oh, well, I want 1/3 of the apples. How are we going to break this down? Well, into 3 equal parts, right? So how do we break 6 down into 3 equal parts? Well, remember from earlier that we can go 6 divided by 3, so the total divided by the amount of parts will give you the amount in the parts, which is 2, right? So we just go, okay, so 2 here, 2 here, and 2 there, and 1/3, so these are all equal, so they all have 2 apples in them, for example, and they are 3 equal parts, and so we just want 1/3. So this would be our one. We're packaging it up and taking it home in the grocery bag. We took 1/3 of the apples. Yeah, and so now if we were to do an even bigger one, let's say up. We'll go with, oh, maybe I should move that over a bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I want you to show me 1/5. Now, sad thing is you can't come up to the board and show this for me, but how would we do this? Well, we divide it into 5 equal parts. So remember, we have 10 total. So the number of objects here is 10. This is our whole. This is our whole. And so we go 10 divided by 5 equals 2. So, each group is going to be 2. So there's a group. 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 So yeah, see how they're all equal? Equal groups. And then we just take this and we have 5 at 1/5, and that's how we get it. So yeah, and see how this is 5 equal parts of the whole, and we've taken one of those parts. Perfect. Sorry, I heard someone speaking outside my door, and I was wondering if they were talking to me. Perfect. So what you saw me do, is dividing to get the parts. So sometimes I'm not given the shape, right? If I'm given just this, if I'm saying 10, and I want, let's say 1/5 of 10, right? If I'm just given that, that's all I say, and then, the question's like this, and I just leave you a blank there. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take 10, right? Just like I showed you, 10, and divide it by 5 parts, because that'll give us the 1/5 of it, right? So this will give us 1/5 if we divide it by 5, because we're breaking this 10 into 5 parts and finding out what one of those parts is equal to. So we divide it by 5, and that'll give us the number, right? 2, which we found in the other group. So we can use division to figure this out. So if we're trying to find 1/5, we'll divide by 5. Now if we're trying to if I said I want 1/4, what are we going to do? 1/4 of 10. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to divide, it'll be 4 divided by 10. Or say I wanted to find 1/3, right, of 10. Now I'm not necessarily going to do all these because they could come out with some weird numbers, but yeah, 1/3 of 10. So you just divide by 3. So I hope that you kind of grasp that idea that as you use it. So if it was like 1/20th, right, of, let's say 100, that would equal to 45 by 10. You know what? These ones were, I should write it like this, right? Divided by 4 and divided by 3. And this one would be 100 divided by 20. So, sorry, yeah, you divide by the number. Sorry, that was my bad. I just was working it the same way, like over there. But yeah, you divide it by the number. So 10 divided by 4, 10 divided by 3, and that's 1/3 that you'd get. And this one with the 1/20th of 100, you get 100 divided by 20. Yeah, so that is that. The basic idea there is that as you want to find you just divide by the denominator to get one portion of that. Finally, if we want to find any number of a fraction, so let's say we were dealing with, if say instead it says 2/5 of, I don't know, what do we want to deal with? 10. So 10. 2/5 of 10. Well, to start off, we can just draw this out, right? We know that oh, let me make sure that that's all in scene here. Okay, so we know that we did this before, right? Because what 1/5 of 10 equals 2, because we did 10 divided by 5 equals 2. Now, once we get to that part, that's step 1. If we want to find any number, we want to use, we can just, so there's 2 ways to do it, right? We can, now that we know that it's 2, we know 2 parts, right? 2 parts, we just go 2 plus 2. And if we wanted 3 parts, we just go plus 2 again, and that would give us 3 parts. Now, there is another way to do this, really. So you can do it by drawing circles, which is totally fine. But there's also another way. Once you have this 2, and say you wanted, so you go, you get this 2 here from 10 divided by 5 to get 1 part. Now to get 2 parts, right? Because this equals 4, right? If we add these together. If we wanted 2 parts, right, we just times it by 2, and that'll give us 4 parts, or 4 pieces. And if we wanted, let's say 3, right, we just times it by 3. That'll give us 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can times it by the groups to actually get the number. I'll show this to you again with one more example without bringing in the dots. So if we said I want 3/4 of 8, how am I going to do this? Well, so the first step, step 1, we want to figure out what 1/4 of 8 is. So we're going to look at 1/4 of 8. So we're going to try and find 1/4 of 8. And so we know that, okay, we're trying to find 1/4 of 8. We're going to divide 8, which is the total, into 4 parts. And so, yeah, that'll be, right? That'll be 2. I know 2 is coming up here a lot. I guess it's just simpler to work with. So we have 2. So 2 is 1 part of 4. So the one way we could do it is we can just go, okay, well, 3 parts are all the same. So we can go plus 2 plus 2. And then we'll have 6. But if we're dealing with like hundreds of parts or big numbers, right, it's much easier to do multiplication. So say this fraction was like 300 over 450 or something, right? Then you'd have a lot of extra work to do. Instead, we can go in part 2 to do this. We could say, okay, well, now we want 3/4 of 8. And to do that, we take the 2 that we got from 1/4, because 1/4 equals 2. And so we can go 2 times 3, because there's 3 parts now, not just 1 part. And we'll get 6. And we can show you that this is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you just say, okay, that's one group taken, 2 groups taken, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And that's 3, 1, 2, 3 of 4 groups, right? So there's one group left, which is not taken. So yeah, that's the basic idea, that we can use multiplication and division. So I hope that you got the gist there. Sorry about I kind of want to just re-go over that, just because when there's a video, I can't necessarily figure out if you've understood that. If I want to find 1/5 of a number of 10, I'm going to divide 10 by 5, not 5 divided by 10, but 10 divided by 5, because I'm finding a 1/5 of 10, not a 10 of 5th, not a 10 of the 5. So I'm trying to, yeah, so right. So I'm trying to find a 1/5 of it. So I divide by the 5 to get our 1/5. Now, if I was trying to get a 1/4 would be dividing by 4, and 1/3 would be dividing by 3. So remember, you're dividing by the denominator of the fraction. You don't want to divide the fraction by the 10, or else you'll get a weird, thing going on there. So perfect. Anyways, guys, I really hope that you guys had a good lesson today, and that you have a great Tuesday. I'm going to run off to London now and go make sure that we are ready for the rest of next week. So bye for now. Ciao.